You are in for an interesting ride.
Hello and welcome to another ET Newsroom episode. The Diaries and Recollections of an Alien Abductee is the title of Hilary Porter's book of her own incredible lifetime experiences, along with illustrations, which are excellent. Now, Hilary's lifelong experiences date from when she was even a tiny baby, taken from her crib and born in the mid-1940s. You know, it was much more difficult then. Goodness knows it's difficult now to even think about this kind of thing. But Hilary's mother only got up the courage to tell her daughter in 2011 that she would see her as a baby being taken, and even as a toddler would find her gone from her secured garden, and she would have to get on her bike and go round the locale, and there she would find her little daughter. No idea how she got there. Certainly a child could not have walked there. Hilary suffered a lot of issues in her life as a fallout from being taken, from lactating for years and years and years, from clearly being used in the some kind of breeding program. She experienced quite a variety of people from the reptilians, and she particularly remembers one grueling incident when she was in a place called Cove, C-O-V-E, in Hampshire. It's not far from where she lived now, which is Farnborough. And she was only 5, and she was a bit of a tomboy, and she could see something in the field in a bit of a dip, and it was saucer-like and clearly some craft. Now she knows that. And she was observing it, and all of a sudden she was astonished to find herself being dragged to it from the arms by a reptilian. And so it's really extraordinary, the number of instances and events and abductions that Hilary has had, and she's been amazing. You know, she has shared her experiences, and she has been there for others as a counsellor, as an unjudgmental ear. But Hilary has always, I felt, sort of gone under the radar generally, even though I consider her one of the most important cases of abductions, because they are so varied and have gone on through such an enormous length of time. Hilary's daughter is severely disabled and has autism, and she too has been taken, and Hilary on occasion was aware of that fact too, just like her mother was aware that she had been taken. So I was very sad to get a call from Ken Parsons, her partner for over 20 years or so, to say that Hilary had in fact passed on the 15th of May this year, that's 2024, of a heart attack, as far as I'm aware. And I went to visit Ken to offer some assistance, and we recorded a little piece to camera, which you'll hear shortly. I've cobbled together some elements from the interviews I've done for you to give you a quick snapshot view of some of Hilary's experiences. Now, she is not from They Are All Love and Light, indeed, at all camp, because she had so much to deal with as a fallout, health-wise, from her abductions. But she was an amazing lady, and one of the most extraordinary events was she worked as an engineer electronics draftswoman for Marconi. And that was in the 70s, and Marconi was the go-to exotic weapons manufacturer or creator back then. And she worked for them. At the time, there was a security breach, a very serious security breach in the top secret section of the property, and it was by ET. How about that? So, enjoy this piece, which is in memory of Hilary Porter, in memoriam. What are we looking at here?
Just a figure in black. I just put Sally to bed.
First visitation.
Yeah.
It came back again later.
It was 1980 and it was early spring, just the hour gone for. I just put Sally here to bed. Bearing in mind that Sally and I are living on our own and that everything is shored up as well around our garden. Got fencing and high walls, and so I come rushing down after putting Sally to bed. Nice evening. I rushed into the lounge. I was going to put the TV on. I stopped dead because this thing is standing right up against the window. He's got a helmet with a visor in it, and this is daylight and I can see the sunlight playing on his suit. Everything was matte. I could not see through the visor at all, even in the daylight.
Was there any communication?
Yes, he put this hand up, like, you know, sort of just like that. And I did the same. I found even though I couldn't move, I went like that. Anyway, he stood there for a little while. Then he didn't walk. He just slid to the wall at the back, which is about 5 feet away. Stepped very fast, you know, and I could see he was 7 foot, 6, 7 foot, really very tall. And then he shot onto the steps of the garden. When he was on there, he was like 8 foot, or, you know, he was really massive and big with it. As he stood there, he vanished, gone. My first reaction was to rush to the window, close the curtains. I thought, oh. Then I started to really, I was in shock. But I thought, no, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to draw this. 1982, November. Beverly and Sally were in the lounge. I was in the kitchen cooking. Beverly came flying out, white as a sheet, and she said, oh Hill, a huge black figure was in your window. But she said it went bang, bang, bang 3 times on the glass, and it was looking at Sally.
I want to mention the health issue. This is a really important fact. Also with the hybrid child and the ovary and the egg business with the ladies, she was also lactating for years, even decades. For everybody else who's never had that experience, myself included, I do know that it can be really, really exhausting and really inconvenient, and that's the least of it. So the body is being made and forced into actions and activity that is not normal, and certainly it's not normal to be lactating for tens of years. About health and health issues, talking about being taken interdimensionally, it changed the molecular structure.
Yes.
Tell us something about your own experience of issues.
So you're very, very dizzy when you come back, and you feel extremely ill, sometimes nearly all the time, dreadful, dreadful heads, awful migraine. You feel absolutely out of sorts, and quite often for days. And you've got to try and make life, you know, live, get on with things, bringing up the children. It's terrible. And then getting flashbacks of, like I was as well, of being put on a circular table when you're up on the craft. And I'm absolutely splayed out. I've got no clothes on. I'm manacled here, and on my feet. Really? And they spin this thing round, and they watch how you cope with this as well. They'll put you on something similar again, and it's got lines like electronic lit lines going down,
like LEDs or something.
Going along and across you. It's like they're measuring you, and they don't care whether your neck is creaked right back or any of this sort of thing. So you come back absolutely sore from head to foot, ache and bruising and scars, and you know, it just goes on and on and on.
Have you ever seen anyone else whilst you've been taken at the same time?
I saw somebody in a kind of tank. In fact, I found myself in it as well a bit later. Excuse my heart pounding a little bit. Anyway, right? Yeah, I'm fine. In this tank, they leave you suspended in this kind of gooey stuff. You're sort of lying in this stuff. It's like as though they're teaching you to breathe underwater. You honestly don't think you're going to do this, and you really are frightened. You do, you sink into it and you continue to breathe. And I've got flashbacks of coming in from space on a craft and going right through down into the sea, and actually going through the sea. It's sort of I don't know whether it's some kind of, it's not glass tunnel, but some kind of thing, and you're actually able to go through this to another base or something like that from the craft. But it all has an effect on your person, how you are, everything. It's awful, because I don't know what they want of you. I just don't know how much more humans could give them. They were basically the greys. They're the ones that came. This is a scenario. I'm laying in the bed. I'm right here. And a portal suddenly comes in the wall, and this figure there comes and stands over.
That's the cowled figure there.
No, can't ever see its face ever. And then that ushers in the greys, and they're like little children. And their heads, because of their little necks, they wobble, and their arms are extra long, and they're sort of like that, and they move very rapidly round the bed. They came round to Sally's side because we shared a bed together. Then there was the mind scan. You get one that sort of separates itself out from the others, and he's prodding you from inside the bed, and you come all the way up, comes in closer and closer and closer. You think to yourself, what the hell's going on? And then suddenly, because it happens so quickly, you are already in an altered state, and that's it, you're gone. They take you and your molecular structure or whatever, you are gone, and then they bring you back. And they did it with Sally, and I could not move. I went through what my mother went through at that time, desperately trying to move, and I can't do a thing. And they put me out completely, and I know she was gone, and that's it. But these eyes look right into you, like this, right into your face, and this is what happened time and time again. It was awful.
Did you notice any change in Sally after she'd been taken?
Very quiet, very quiet. She is autistic, but we didn't know then at the time. She wasn't diagnosed, but she was severely handicapped. But she was very, very quiet. And for a little child, no matter what they are, they're usually bubbly and what have you, but she wasn't.
Did you see any marks or bruising or anything
not
on her
in
body?
that particular time, but she has now. On one occasion she came back with a red raised bump on her leg, and I was quite worried. I thought, what's that? It just came overnight, so I took her to the doctor. Oh, he said that's nothing to worry about. Another occasion, she had this beautiful silver necklace with a star in the centre of it from her place where she goes to day centre. They said she's our little star, and the clasp is so tiny, and I can't, even with the glasses on, I can't see to do it. So I left it on, and then a good 4 months later it was here on the bed, and it was in a complete spiral, absolute perfect spiral with the star in the centre. That was telling me, yeah, we're still here, and we're still doing it, and there's because Sally couldn't do that in a million years.
Here with Ken Parsons of Ocean's Call, the track he kindly gave for the Eklectia album, which is wonderful. Having a little chat about Hilary.
15th of May she passed away. It's a sad occasion, obviously. When I found her, I sort of cried. I tried to bring her back to life, but she fell out of the bed and she wasn't breathing, and I did chest compression and everything like the paramedics said over the phone, and the paramedics soon arrived at the door, and they got her heart working, put an artificial breathing tube in her mouth. But the doctor said when she was taken to the hospital that if they took the tube out of her mouth and she couldn't breathe on her own and the heart stopped beating, that was it basically. And if they had kept her heart beating, she would have suffered catastrophic brain damage. But the cause of death on the death certificate was a massive heart attack. But she suffered from atrial fibrillation. It's a really sad thing. I've got to be strong with all this, but you see, it was sad because Hilary was one of the best UFO witnesses around, really. She'd had so many encounters, and I've had a few strange experiences myself, paranormal things. So we were like two peas in the pod, soulmates, we said. It's very hard to find people like that who are on the same wavelength.
Well, I think Hilary's case is one of the most underrated, undervalued globally actually, but certainly in the UK, nobody really knows her name. But
it's
her case is extraordinary.
I'm trying to sort of block the memory, to a certain extent of her death. And the human body is just a vehicle really for the spirit. We carry this around with us, and it's a fascinating thing. And even nurses in hospitals have seen spirits depart from old people that have died in hospital, and trying to stay strong with it all. But it's all a recent thing that's happened really for me.
Yes, really, 4th of June today, so it's just over a couple of weeks.
I haven't even had the funeral yet. And I'm running the b.e.a.m.s site, British Earth and Aerial Mystery Society. I still post reports on there, still researching the stuff. Things are still coming through, but much less so nowadays, because rightly so in a way, people think that their emails are being monitored by Big Brother, and they are, because I've had problems with our email things on YouTube, and they're shadow banning me on there. So, and they've made me remove stuff too. My conspiracy research is to be found on BitChute, my site there. The title of it is The Unmutual Prisoner. Joanne's got such a good voice, but mine's a bit croaky because I had throat cancer years ago and they gave me chemotherapy. I had the all clear, but what it's done is dried all my saliva glands up, so if my voice sounds different from previous videos, that's the reason for it. But the real truth is that we're being controlled, and that lockdown and the COVID thing was a scam, and it was the flu rebranded, or it come out of the Wuhan lab or whatever. The masks weren't effective. It was all made up. It was all a control thing. Media and the mainstream media were all complicit. You won't get the truth on them.
We knew all about that as well, didn't she? And she'll be sorely missed.
So we long discussions about it. Neither of us had the jab, I'll tell you that.
Well, I know somebody who had the AstraZeneca on the Thursday. By Friday, they were in some psychotic situation. Somebody I've known for very many years. And I was really worried that they might become suicidal. Yeah. And I drove over 2 hours to go and see them. Yeah. And when I got there, there was this person who was not the person I knew, or she'd be slipping in and out of the person who I knew into this person who seemed possessed. And she would leap up from the table all of a sudden and say, it's Satan, and I can smell something. And she could smell sulfur. She had these kind of material experiences, and she took a long time to recover. So there are also these injuries. There's psychological, psychic, because I think it breaches never mind the brain-blood barrier. That's bad enough. But there is another layer, which is like the psychic layer, and it certainly breached that in her, which lasted for weeks. And she even rang on the Friday, before I got to her on the Saturday, a doctor asking for a bed in a psychiatric unit. Exactly. They didn't have one available.
This COVID vaccine might well attack the spirit body.
It obviously did something to her, no doubt.
I mean, these people like Fauci and all that lot, I mean, they're dead in the eyes. You can see there's something wrong. It's almost like they're possessed.
Well, I don't think they're really human, do you?
They're not human. I don't know. This is what I say about our church thing. I mean, they say all aliens don't exist. But I say, like, they're alien to this earth. Let's put it that way, whatever they are. It's still paranormal. People have got to know what the truth is. And then you can add, if you join the dots, as David Icke says, you can actually see what is going on, and these people are definitely the very minimum, they're satanic, like the woke thing.
But Hillary and you were totally switched on to the reality of things. I didn't expect to hear that she would leave us quite so soon.
No, I thought I'd go first. Usually the blokes go first. I can't believe it. Whatever you want to say, that it's like saying that her number was up. We've got an allotted time on this earth.
You said you've been together for,
24 years.
And as you said, gone in the blink of an eye.
Not only that, she was a great artist, and also, although she suffered from dyslexia, she wrote a couple of books and kind of a ghostwriter, and she did take the books to me. My speciality subject is ley lines and sacred places, really. But UFOs are seen on ancient sites.
I mean, Hilary, and I don't know so much about yourself, but certainly has had a ton of experiences in this very place. And just to think that that wardrobe, which really should be auctioned off for something special, was like a dimensional doorway for years. And this is that very wardrobe out of which would come E.T. stuff. But it's hard to believe, isn't it, this ordinary pine wardrobe. Absolutely nothing special about it, except in the early hours of many a morning, Hilary had these visitors. This is Hilary's original painting, which I'm thrilled to be gifted from Ken. And so this is her depiction of one crawling on the bed as they are coming through the portal. Hard to believe, isn't it, that this simple wooden pine cabinet could possibly be the site of interdimensional, intergalactic visitations from beings who knows where exactly. Another life moving on. I do indeed wonder. I wonder if these ETs have any contact on the other side with such people as Hills. It is now divest of a lot of her things. So the hyperdimensional wardrobe all cleaned out. I wonder if they know. And who knows what the next part of Hilary's journey is going to be like. As always, more questions and answers.
Sleeping in the room, but you see, I'm not as psychic as she was.
She was an abductee. I mean, they came for her a lot, didn't they?
Well, there's a reason for that, you see. Why am I not abducted? But they do go for bloodlines and psychic people. She comes from a rabbinical bloodline, which was Jewish descent.
I think we covered some of that in the 2 interviews I did with Hilary, which people can see. All our condolences from the ET newsroom and all those who knew and loved Hilary and appreciated her. Catch up with you again.
Yeah, okay.
Really appreciate it.
That's right.
Over and out.
My pleasure. Yeah.